Good day. I'm Jean Lebel, the president of the International Development Research Center, IDRC, based in Ottawa, but today visiting Uruguay with my good friend, Florencia Ripani from Fundación Ceibal. Good morning, Florencia.
Good morning. Thanks for visiting us.
We have these devices. Steve Jobs presented this first iPhone in 2007. We're barely 15 years after, and we've seen a digital transformation of society. In Uruguay, the first step was around deployment of technology. Talk to us a little bit about, what was successful.
So the idea was that just providing computers, children or students will become more included into the digital age. Uruguay was unique because the country managed to successfully deliver one computer per student at primary education and providing connectivity to every primary school in Uruguay.
And did it make a difference?
I think it did, but not only at that time. I think Ceibal managed to creatively develop a plan based on the creativity of a number of professionals who were very focused on creating something new. So they did not just follow a model, but they started to experiment, innovate, and there was a systematic design of a plan with different components to make it very robust. So it's the technology, the content, the pedagogy, but also the institutional layout. So Ceibal interacts with the national education authorities, with other organizations which are part of the government, with civil societies, with international organizations, and decided to create Ceibal Foundation in 2014, having the view that in order to provide sustainability to the services that it was providing, it was needed to develop research and innovation systematically, and focusing the attention also in building networks, regional and international networks, to share knowledge and to acquire new knowledge.
And that's probably one of the most innovative things that has happened in the recent past with Ceibal. The role of Uruguay, not dominating the agenda, but sharing and inviting and learning from each other. Tell us a little bit more about this Uruguayan approach, towards, the networking and making people empower.
Well, Uruguay managed to become possibly one of the most prominent digital education initiatives in Latin America and possibly in the world.
Yeah.
So countries in the region normally tend to contact Ceibal to look for answers and to look for some orientations and directions in relation to the challenges that they have to face. The foundation managed to systematically develop a project or several projects to attend those needs. And I have to say that we did that with the support of IDRC, which was fundamental, as IDRC provided us funding and technical support to create a regional network of digital education, which is called ADELA.
ADELA stands for?
Latin American Alliance for Digital Education.
Okay.
And through this network, we managed to systematically share good practice from Ceibal to other countries in the region, but with a vision that the solutions cannot be replicated in the same manner as they have been implemented in Uruguay, and that is very important to understand different contexts and think in ways to adapt the solutions and also learn from different countries.
Now, let's speak concretely with example.
Well, for example, during the pandemic, countries had to develop content for students who were attending school from homes. And so from Ceibal, we organized through ADELA specific training for our countries to teach them how to make open educational resources and using Ceibal system, and several countries in the region implemented this. We help them to develop content, to, for example, to buy specific devices, but also to run research projects. And we do this with the National Agency of Research and Innovation from Uruguay, also with support from IDRC. And we have helped, for example, Honduras to develop projects to use adaptive technology for disabled students. So the richness in this network is we provide specific aid in relation to challenges that they have, and providing specific guidance on the way in which Ceibal has done this, and providing some assistance in which way this can be adapted into other countries. This is one part of the projects that we run here, which is the network aspect. And then we have some research projects and applied research projects, which are more important initiatives, such as the KICS initiative, or initiatives that we're implementing, for example, in Paraguay to make a proof of concept to implement a math platform, and more long research projects.
Long-term research projects.
Which look into the characteristics of the countries specifically.
Florencia, we've been discussing, in and out the education, the innovation, the knowledge sharing, the networking, the impact. But let me ask you in closing this conversation, what is the next frontier? Where do you see, some fertile ground for the future of research on education and innovation?
Well, I think possibly focusing on creativity and innovation, so taking solutions from other fields into the education field, that is possibly not so focused on innovation, and also taking particular attention to vulnerable groups, including a focus on gender. Latin America has a big challenge in relation to being the most unequal region in the world. Some of the greatest challenges that
gender, indigenous population, minorities.
Considering the digital issues in general, so how technology can facilitate learning, or how learning about technology itself can help also for social mobility. That has to be addressed, particularly regarding minority groups and women in general, as the region is showing a very concerning situation in relation to the most vulnerable.
If you had the magic wand, with the shortfalls and the challenges that you just outlined, what would you do?
Well, I will try to use existing resources in a more creative way, and that means cultural resources and technological resources.
Give me an example.
Well, we are dealing with that in the KICS project we are implementing in Honduras and Nicaragua, in which we are using mobile phones that belong to teachers and technology that is placed in the schools. So, for example, they have TV sets, but they don't have connectivity. But we found that teachers or have connectivity at home, and they can download, for example, videos and take a memory stick to the schools, and then they can play a video. And another thing which is very important is placing the students at the core of education, which is a phrase which is very common, but it doesn't happen in reality. So, for example, in this project, the students are the part of participate in the production of the educational content. They tell the stories about their communities, rural communities, the natural heritage, the animals, the cultural activities that they perform, and while they share these very important aspects of their identity, they create content for educational projects. So they are in the center, and we use the participatory design and collaboration with teachers and the community to develop content and to distribute content. So normally, people tend to think, okay, if the school has no connectivity, they cannot get content, or there's nothing that can be done. So I think the magic will be used to say, okay, there's something we still can do even with some restriction in terms of resources.
And isn't it, the fundamental of innovation, which is not to invent,
exactly,
necessarily a new piece of technology, but to reinvent things that are there and that we can use differently with, a better creativity, and that's where research is needed. Florencia, it has been a pleasure to have you this morning. The future is bright. The future is composed of people like you that bring solution to the problems we are seeing in the field. I really wish you the best in the future, and the best to your colleagues, in order to have a world that is better educated and can contribute to a more inclusive and sustainable society. And today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we will still need education, and good education for all. Canada can learn from it. All the countries around the world can learn from it. That's what we're trying to do with KICS, and you're part of that journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just would like to say that we are just an interface in the middle of a network also, because we receive money from
IDRC, the
Global Partnership for Education, and we also have a number of collaborators and institutions in different countries, and teachers and students from whom we also learn. So it's a pleasure for us to be part of this network, which is the landscape of implementing development projects and trying to innovate. And IDRC has also always been very supportive with Fundación Ceibal, and had a key role in creating groundbreaking networks such as ADELA.